I heard about a guy who went to an auction and found himself bidding on a parrot. He wanted that parrot so badly he got caught up in a bidding war. It went higher and higher, but finally he won. I hope this parrot isn't defective, he said while paying for the bird. I'd hate to pay this kind of money to find out he can't talk. Oh, he talks just fine, said the auctioneer. Who do you think kept bidding against you? Speaking of parrots, a woman once bought a parrot for a pet, but it was horrible. This parrot insulted her. Each time she tried to pick it up, it pecked at her arm. Finally, fed up with the parrot calling her name, she opened the freezer door and threw him inside. Even with the door closed, she could hear the parrot calling her names. Suddenly, it went quiet. She thought, I've killed the parrot. So she opened the door, and the parrot looked up at her and gently hopped onto her arm. The parrot said, I am very sorry, ma'am. I apologize for my bad behavior. I promise there will be no more of it. From now on, I shall be a respectful, obedient parrot. Well, okay, she said. Apology accepted. And the parrot said, thank you. Then he said, may I ask you something? Sure. The parrot looked back at the freezer and said, what did the chicken do? Well, I think we've all been a little like that parrot at times. I sure have. I have needed plenty of forgiveness, and sometimes it takes a wake-up call to help us see our need for it. During World War II, Fiorello LaGuardia was mayor of New York City. His approval rating was through the roof. New Yorkers called him the Little Flower because he was only 5'4" and always wore a carnation in his lapel. Probably better placed than this one, but there we go. Known for riding New York City fire trucks, he raided illegal bars with the police department, took entire orphanages to baseball games, imagine. And when the New York newspapers were on strike, he went on radio and read the Sunday funnies to the kids. One bitterly cold night during the Great Depression, the mayor turned up at a night court that served the poorest ward of the city. LaGuardia dismissed the judge for the evening and took over the bench himself. A tattered old woman was brought before the bench and charged with stealing a loaf of bread. She told LaGuardia that her son-in-law had deserted her. Her daughter was sick, and her 2 grandchildren were starving. But the shopkeeper from whom the bread was stolen refused to drop the charges. It's a real bad neighborhood, Your Honor, the man told the mayor. She's got to be punished to teach other people around here a lesson. LaGuardia sighed, then turned to the woman and said, I've got to punish you. The law makes no exceptions, $10 or 10 days in jail. But as he pronounced sentence, the mayor reached into his pocket, extracted a bill, and tossed it into his famous sombrero, saying, here is the $10 fine which I now remit, and furthermore, I am going to fine everyone in this courtroom 50 cents for living in a town where a person has to steal bread so that her grandchildren can eat. Mr. Bailiff, collect the fines and give them to the defendant. The following day, the New York City newspapers reported that $47.50 was turned over to a bewildered old lady who had stolen a loaf of bread to feed her starving grandkids. 50 cents of that amount being contributed by the red-faced grocery store owner, while some 70 petty criminals, people with traffic violations, and New York City policemen, each of whom had just paid 50 cents for the privilege of doing so, gave the mayor a standing ovation. What a beautiful picture of redemption, of what Jesus did for us on the cross. We couldn't pay the debt. We didn't deserve the grace. But he offered us forgiveness and right standing with God. Your parrot may call you names. God calls you his beloved child. I can't think of a better reason to smile today. What did the chicken do? That's great. Hey, I just want to thank you because every time you push the subscribe button, something really cool happens to me. And so, would you just push it, just now? Thank you. Oh, pizza. Thank you. Excellent. Pepperoni.